Now, the Armenian Prime Minister, Nikol Pashinyan, has declared victory in the country's parliamentary election. The election viewed as a real test of his plan to push to deepen ties with the West and secure a peace deal with Azerbaijan after years of conflict and political turbulence. The vote, the first since Armenia's defeat by Azerbaijan in 2023. So far, around a third of the results have come in. It shows he has around a 54% of the vote.
People of Armenia voted for peace and regional prosperity, for regional cooperation, and I hope that these will meet positive reactions from Turkey, both from Turkey and from Azerbaijan. We need to institutionalize peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Let's cross then to the capital, Yerevan. Talk to correspondent Olivia Bizot, who joins us from there. Olivia, first of all, bring us up to date. More of those results have been coming in, and also what's being said there.
Well, the latest results show that incumbent Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has a comfortable majority in Parliament. This means that he won't have to form any messy coalitions. Now, Pashinyan did not wait until these final results came through in order to claim victory. In the very early hours of Monday morning, he gave a speech at his headquarters. He claimed victory. He said that this election shows that Armenians are choosing peace and independence. He also said that he is going to be pushing for closer ties with the EU while maintaining relations with Russia. And he also said that his priorities are going to be the peace deal with Azerbaijan, normalizing relations with Turkey as well. Now, he claimed victory when he had only when only 10% of the votes had come through, and that has been hugely criticised by the opposition, especially his main political opponent, Samvel Karapetyan. He's the head of the Strong Armenia party, and he has said that the fact that he gave this speech, claimed victory when only 10% of the votes had come through, influenced the Central Electoral Commission and the way they ended up counting the final vote. He has also accused the government of political prosecution and has said that the government has detained and arrested hundreds of affiliates and members of the Strong Armenia party. But despite this very aggressive rhetoric that we've been seeing coming from all sides, the atmosphere here in Yerevan is very calm, and that's because these elections and the results don't come as much of a surprise for people here. Pashinyan had been leading in the polls until the election. The latest polls before Election Day did show that around 41% of voters were undecided or uncommitted ahead of Election Day. But the Electoral Commission has said that turnout is at around 59%. Now, that's the highest turnout that Armenia has seen in over a decade. And when we spoke to people on Election Day, they told us how important it was for people to go out and vote and protect democracy, which Armenians fought so hard to achieve during the 2018 Velvet Revolution that overthrew decades of pro-Russian oligarchic rule.
Olivia, analyse this for us then geopolitically. What you think it actually means then for Europe and, of course, for Russia. You mentioned both earlier, of course.
Yes, well, this victory definitely means that Europe is gaining an important but fragile foothold in the region. It also means that Russia is loosening its grip on Armenia and its historic ties. But it is definitely a victory for Europe. Now, it's important to give our viewers some context. Historically, Russia has been a very important and the main security ally for Armenia, but Armenians felt abandoned after the important territorial losses that they faced at the hands of Azerbaijan in recent years. They felt completely abandoned by Russia, that didn't take any action. That's because Moscow was distracted by the conflict in Ukraine. And so ever since, Pashinyan has been looking for alternatives. He's been turning towards India. He's been turning towards the Gulf states. He's even initiated talks with China, but he has mainly been looking towards the West. Now, last month, there was the very first EU-Armenia summit that was held here in Yerevan, and also a few weeks ago, Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, was here to sign a strategic partnership agreement. And of course, this greatly angered Moscow. Putin has explicitly said that this pivot towards the West is how the war in Ukraine started, and Russia has imposed very heavy restrictions on trade with Armenia. Now, the European Union has stepped in. It said that it's going to supply 50 million euros of financing in order to ease the pressure of those sanctions. But analysts that we've spoken to this week have said that Armenia still is incredibly reliant on Russia, and it will take a lot of time and effort before Armenia is able to completely decouple itself from Russia. That's because a third of Armenian exports still rely on Russia, and they're also incredibly dependent on Russian oil and gas. And that's why during his victory speech in the early hours of Monday morning, Pashinyan did say that he wants to push for this pivot towards the West, but he was very careful in the way he phrased it, and he also said it's incredibly important to maintain ties with Russia.